They are now. 5, 4.
Oh, seven Star Citizens, and welcome back to Answer the Call, your weekly Star Citizen podcast and call-in show where we talk about everything Star Citizen and occasionally Eve. And by occasionally, I mean all the time.
Every
How
time.
you doing, Mike?
Great. I actually streamed Eve yesterday for the first time, and it was awesome.
Ooh, that's brave.
Yeah,
That's brave.
totally.
I feel like I could never.
Totally off the topic from what we're doing today, but like Ali posted a video saying like, "Yo, I can't stream Star Citizen anymore. Like, it's just I can't do it. I can't keep pretending that like I'm having fun when I'm not." And
Yeah.
I kind of reacted to it. I haven't posted it yet. I think I'll post it today. And it was just talking about how like I want to get back to having passion about things. And then I started talking about how, man, it's really fun to watch YouTubers and streamers that love like absolutely love what they're doing. Like the opposite of whatever comments I see under these videos, under my YouTube videos, under everything, that like negativity gets views. That's why you act this way, Mike. Negativity gets views. It's not true. It's actually quite the opposite. Like I am totally drawn to people who are so passionate and love what they're talking about. Right. And I was like,
It's also like,
I
it's
love
really
Eve
hard
right now.
for anyone to be super negative all the time anyway. You
Yeah.
can't really live like that as a person.
No, it's
without it like completely breaking you, right? So
I mean, I worked in a casino. People live like that but it's but it's very, you are right. It's very, very difficult. And that just like spawned the idea in my head is like, I've been playing Eve. I really, really like it. Let me share what I'm really enjoying right now. And like the stream was great. I didn't have a lot of viewers, but I didn't lose any from when I started, when I made the switch. So it was like, oh, okay, that's very cool. And I just had a great time with it. But yeah, totally off topic for what we're talking about. But we usually touch on like, hey, what have you been up to? And I did that yesterday and it like went well. And it was like, oh, I'm not going to do this all the time. But at the same time, it's like, it was really, really nice to share something that you're happy about. And yeah. So contrary to all you dumbasses, I really like being happy. I don't know if you knew that.
To touch on it maybe a little bit, because like it does go a little bit into the topic. Like the only thing I've really wanted to do in Star Citizen the last few weeks is do a Lionel mine, and it's been impossible to do.
Yeah.
I just have not been able to get a server anytime that I've been available where it's working. Or it's not completely overrun, which, like, that's fine. I want that to be a thing. But the reason it's completely overrun is because it's the first time it's
only
worked
one.
in 48 hours.
Yeah, it's the only one working. And everyone's jumping into that server, probably.
Yeah, so, like, right now, I'm doing a lot of Gravlev racing, which I love. Fantastic. And that does, like, make me want to keep playing and whatnot. But it's also probably a reason why I started, the Gathering channel that I've started, is because that's something that I do have a lot of passion for and that I do want to keep on playing regardless.
Exactly.
So it kind of goes into what we'll be talking about today after we'll probably go into a little bit of news first of just like, are these content patches enough to sort of keep you interested?
Every create, like when Ali is done, it's like, that's got to be like, these were I still, let's start out here with, I absolutely believe the words that were written and the things that were said about the choices they were making this year of year of stability, bug fixing first, all the engineers coming off of features and fixing bugs is the right idea. Like it just felt like it needed to get done. But is that what is happening? Like, to some extent, yes. Like, do your elevators in Pyro work? Yes, they do. Does the freight elevator work more often? Yes, it does, right? So a lot of the major ones that we had when 4.0 dropped are fixed. They are fixing a lot of things. But we're in April, and now it's like, all right, like that level of patience to see those improvements, you could tell it's just being worn out. Like people are getting worn out by it. I don't know how you feel. I'm finding I've really found maybe a niche is the correct word, like my little niche of an incredible ball of fun in Star Citizen right now, and that's sneaking into Hathor locations with super stealthy stuff and going in on foot, killing people, trying to get the keys off of them, trying to get out with keys and better, like not murder hoboing, like, you know, you're probably going to call it, but it's like with a purpose. Like we're all competing over those red keys. We're all competing over the keys for the aligned things. And those I'm just saving for the future when it does work. But I've been trying to get a railgun for 3 days. And, you know, it's been competitive over that. And I've been having an absolute ball of a time, like so much fun.
Yeah,
and yeah, and like that's been nice. But how long is that going to last for me? Probably not much longer. And then, man, I got to say, like, looking at what's in 4.1.1, both super excited and, yeah, like, very underwhelmed at the same time. So it's like, that's kind of where the title came from. Is like, dude, are we going to have any fun this year or what? Like,
well, that's the thing, right? We're a quarter of the way through, and we certainly have had fun at certain points. It just hasn't felt sustainable, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like there's been some really, really cool points, and like once again, a lot of mine, probably one of the best things I've ever made. It's just
100%.
got classic Star Citizen issues, and because of that, it's like it is okay. I was talking to a friend yesterday who does not play Star Citizen, and I had to explain that one of the coolest things that may have ever happened, like in Star Citizen, has happened, and it sucks because no one could do it properly, or like it's just very, very rare that you could do it properly.
Yeah.
That's like extra bad, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the whole patch was based around this thing and it doesn't work. And they still released it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, and yeah. So it's just like that. I think people are just starting to get worn out. And and that's kind of what the question that we want to post to you guys for like the calls today is like, are they doing enough? Are you engaged with it? Are you playing other games? Like, and they were definitely nervous. Like, I remember Jared in the video when, you know, the SCL, the 3-hour one, like that they were concerned about this choice and like, would these things kind of happen? Obviously, there's no video content either. If you take out Jared's like I'm wearing the suit or whatever video and one other one, it's been exclusive. I think this is true. Please, you know, correct the record if it's not. I'm not intending to be like rude here or anything, but the rest of it was just ship sale stuff. And it's like, whoa.
Ship sale stuff, and then so ship videos, and then the only other things have been like Align or Mine and Supply or Die. Like they did multiple videos on Supply or Die. I think just one video on Align or Mine. Not as many like I miss like the sprint report type videos, you know, that we used to get, where it's like, here are like 20 different things that teams across the so it's going to be a lot of small things, but like teams across the board are sort of working on.
But some of them are big.
We're not going to get that.
Like
exactly.
The game has, it's very clear to me that the game, and always has been, and people pretend and you're lying to yourself in so many ways, most likely. Maybe not, but I think most people are in this case, is the game is 100% reliant on discussing what it will be, not what it is. And and now the only thing you can have and can do is discuss what it is. And you actually have to pay attention to what it is now. And now that people are actually paying attention to what it is, they're coming out of the clouds and coming into a little bit of reality that this thing is really in a rough place, and it's not that far along yet either. And so it's like both. And it's kind of tough. So unless you find your little niche, like, man, I still watch YouTubers and streamers that just like love. I've been watching like 2 guys that absolutely love Hull C trading, and that's all they do. They're having a great time. Nobody's saying don't have a great time, right? Like, I just want to make sure that through these discussions, nobody's saying that what you're doing is bad or that you're wrong for having fun or anything like that. It just is a matter of these are the choices they made this year. And if the game is not showing significant progress in terms of bug fixes, then it feels like it's not working. And this 4.1 is a really interesting one because there's so much bang that they put in and that it'll stay forever. and we'll see how long it continues to work forever,
Yeah.
right? But they also, with that, the game didn't get more stable, it got less. There's a lot more issues that arose. They put the tier 0 item implementation in that has a lot of these weird edge cases that are super goofy as well, right? That are like, I killed 2 guys today that definitely had keys I was trying to loot, and their bodies disappeared.
Yeah.
So it's like, so there's some tough stuff.
There's maybe like a little extra added layer here of like resistance where like, yeah, every patch that they've released so far this year has had an interesting piece of content that sounds really fun.
Yep.
And then that hasn't worked for at least 2 weeks after release.
Yeah.
And so you have like this, you like everyone wants to play the new, like they fixed the old things. Everyone wants to play the new thing. The new thing's busted. They then fix the old thing, but now that they're doing these monthly content patches, everyone wants to do the new thing, which is going to be broken for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And so like you have this layer of like, you keep hearing about these cool things. You can't do them. By the time that you can do them, the new cool thing's about to come out.
Yeah. Like there's both, like what we're going to discuss with Evo, there's both opportunity for like very, 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 very good and very, 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 well, no, I think the opportunity is like 90% good and 10% bad for what this 4.1.1 patch could be. And it really just comes down to what CIG decides to do, because I guess I should actually bring up the roadmap update as well, because the redacted part of the roadmap update is like, is this Hathor level redacted stuff, or is this something small that is not going to take every single ounce of everyone's energy to try to get working? Because that's what happened with 4.1 is Hathor is a mess. They're trying to get this working, and every other bug that everyone was experiencing basically seemed to have gotten ignored, and now we have 1,000 issues, right? And so it's an interesting time that we're in. It's very, all the fears that were there are starting, like what could possibly happen are starting to come to the surface, right? And it's kind of like this crossroads, and what are they going to do? I don't think there's too many wrong directions to go in, or there might be a lot. I don't know what other people think, but it's
time-wise, it makes sense that we would feel it right now too, because normally, if it was old cadence, there would have been a big patch that just released.
Right now.
Right?
Yep.
We wouldn't have, right, pretty much right now. We wouldn't have had the multiple small patches. So yeah, we get to see like how we feel after a couple of months of this pretty drastic change in like the release schedule.
Yeah. Hold on. I just Jacketin, who's a racer in chat, wrote the wrong he has a wrong direction emote. And like, is that not, I was just going to type to him, but I'll just say it. Is that not the perfect emote for anybody who races? And like for anybody who knows racing, that's golden. That's gold. Yeah. That's perfect situational emote. So good on you. But yeah, I mean, that's sort of the little bit of conversation that we want to spawn your feelings and how you're feeling and all those things on that, because it's, have they done enough for you this year? Are they doing enough for you from what you see in Evo and stuff like that? It's tough to judge bug fixes in an Evo, let alone a PTU, and that's kind of the focus on it. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm going to bring up the Reddit Evo notes, I think. Because I don't want to show the actual Evo notes just in case that's like inappropriate or whatever. So yeah, but do you want to talk about that now, or do you want to go into roadmap roundup? It's probably better to just go through roadmap roundup.
Yeah,
right?
roadmap first. Yeah,
it has most of the the focus that Evo is anyway. So it would be it'd be totally fine to show this and not get ourselves in trouble. I don't particularly care. Just gonna put that out there about the silly NDAs and stuff. But the at this point, like when it's in CIG's favor to try to sell 4.0, then all the people can stream it and talk about it and everything. And then all of a sudden, there's opportunities to like other. Now we have to hide it. I don't get it, but here we go. This is Roadmap Roundup. And what do you think about some of this stuff that's here?
Yep.
That combat missions are their focus.
Yeah. So the only ones that I got to actually check out were the UE training missions specifically,
because these don't exist at the moment.
Oh, they're not in there at all, are they?
As far as I'm aware, they're not.
Okay. Well, I was gonna start on them anyway because the patrol missions sound very much like some missions that we used to have back in the day.
Exactly.
Where, yeah, basically a ship is moving, protect it, right?
Yep.
Pretty simple. It's your oh, I can't remember what that's called. What's it? Not a fetch quest. Escort. It's your escort mission.
Escort missions.
Right?
Yep.
But probably a lot more exciting because you can do 360s around the ship while you're waiting.
Sounds like we're quantum traveling to different places with them, and then we'll experience different encounters. Like maybe it'll be quiet on one and busy on another. I feel like we've already had these, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, this is basically what they told us would happen, right? Is, hey, remember some missions that you guys used to have? They're going to be coming back. They might look a little bit different. They might look the same, but they're going to be coming back. Patrol missions. We've already had those, and essentially. And yeah. Next one's new, though.
Ambush mission sounds really cool. I wonder how they'll make it feel not just like a regular mission. I imagine there'll just be a wait time before the enemies spawn in.
Yeah.
But it sounds kind of cool. If it is like, if the ambush missions have something like, here is a hull sea full of good commodity and you're ambushing that commodity, that's awesome. That'll be that's
what
like
does
a
high
cool
value mean in this description?
Well, that's up for CIG, right?
Yeah.
So,
they've not been great at understanding what is valuable to. It's usually just to them it's like, oh, money or ships.
Yeah.
So I wonder what they're going to go for here. Is the cargo inside going to be valuable? Because obviously most ships you can't loot the components off of. If you do, you can't sell them because of 90 other reasons. So it's like that's the part that I focused on, was like, what do they mean by high value? Is it just hard to kill, or bounty's going to be high?
It'd be better if if stealth was a more fleshed out like part of Star Citizen, where it wasn't just signature based and stuff. You can see how cool like an ambush mission might be if you had to like come into places under radar and stuff and set up. But realistically, I think this mission is just going to be, hey, they're arriving in 5 minutes, right? And then you just get them.
I imagine it'll be quite simple.
I would like it to be more complex than that. And honestly, the patrol mission is technically more complex than that, so maybe it will if it's in the same sort of ground. But yeah, that's what I expect it to be. It is at the very least a little different to the missions we have currently. I am all for variety. So
yeah, we can. Somebody in chat said could be the new currency, Scrips or whatever it's called. I don't know how familiar you are with that from Evo. But
it was also the sneak peek of this.
It was also the sneak peek, exactly. Yeah. It's very good to assume that. Apparently, there's two different scripts. There's
interesting.
Yeah, there's the military one, and then the guys. What's the name of the basically the bounty guild, but for bad people?
Gillies faction?
No.
For bad people.
The council. Apparently, there's council script too. People had mentioned that might be like some data mining shit though, because I don't think I didn't see any of those things in Evo. You could see them in some of Wicklow's mission descriptions, but that's it. So then the training missions, and this was the focus of the Evo patch, right? And this is really all I did. I don't know if you did much more than this. Okay.
Yeah, same. So the UE training missions, obviously, as always, tutorials in Star Citizen have been notoriously bad. The new player experience stuff that they added were a step in the right direction, but all it really told people was to how like that is like full proper basic tutorial. Like, this is how you walk, this is how you interact, right? In terms of actually teaching people how to fly and like fight and stuff, there wasn't much in there. And the UE training missions are once again, in my opinion, a little bit of a step in the right direction. So as it stands, at least when I was on Evo and I was checking today, there's 8 different missions.
Yep.
The first like 4 or so, maybe 3 or 4, can essentially be done by pretty much anyone in a like tutorial ship, like a starter ship.
Combat ship with guns, right?
Yeah. As long as you've got a couple of guns, you should be able to do the first few. But then it does get progressively harder. I will also say a little to the side. The AI felt different to me. I don't know if you felt that, Mike. Like the AI, the AI felt like they were in some instances like still flying around and still evading, but kind of letting me win.
Yeah, and then in others they were like evading in a way that players the
like
AI
it was a predictable,
smarter.
It was weird.
Yeah, it just felt like the AI was a smarter version of what we're used to. But
and it felt
also like
it
letting
felt
you
deliberate.
in.
I'm hoping it's deliberate and not just like, no, the AI was just turned off and they just started flying this way, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did enjoy those first few missions of just very basically, hey, like here are enemies and here's how you fight them. But then it still felt a little too open-ended. And I believe in the patch notes they mentioned that they did want it to be like open, like they want players to not be spoon-fed the tutorial. They want the people to sort of figure out most things on their own. But I think that's still like a little too much. Like they don't talk. It's not until like I think the 5th or 6th mission where they even mention countermeasures. Meanwhile, second mission you get a missile shot at you, right?
Yeah, and when does he mention it? Like this is the key point that I want to make about these as far as feedback go, and I really need to write it because there is a thread in the Evo section for feedback for this, and I just haven't written it up yet. My experiences are. Also, I think I still have it. Yes. So this is a video from Sage channel. I'm not familiar with them. This is a 9-year-old video. I don't know if a lot of people know this. This is Gilly.
Yeah, I was gonna say Gilly is an old character, right?
This is the original tutorial.
Yep. Is Gilly also not in Squadron?
He might be.
Yeah.
Which is why he exists. That's Gilly right there. That's our thumbnail. Our thumbnail is Gilly. If you looked at this and was like, who the hell is this? I grabbed it from this video because I
give me that helmet. Come on,
yeah,
CG.
Right? So yeah, that's Gilly. And then look, there's the ship that literally nobody uses behind him and everything because all this stuff is so old. But yeah, this is from 2015. So pretty cool. Yeah, I'll link it in the chat. And here you go. I'll link it in the Twitch chat at least.
I'll bring up now just because while you're mentioning Gilly, before we continue talking about the missions themselves and stuff. Very, very cool. It is like voice acted. Gilly talks like the entire time. And
does he talk the entire time for you?
The mission. Yeah, he talks to me. Well, in a couple of specific instances, talks to me when I grab the mission.
Okay.
When I come in, the voice lines are a bit bugged at the moment. So when I come in, he sometimes just says the same thing a bunch of times, but then clearly has an audio line that is designed to be like, oh, hey, you're here. You know, we're going to send some people. And then I would often get them after a wave and then at the end. So I would get like four different voice lines per mission.
Exactly.
And pretty much they would specific to that mission, right? So like in the one that I mentioned where he finally mentions countermeasures, he's like, hey, you know, here we're going to test to, you know, missiles. Missiles are a thing. We're going to test your countermeasures. So you're going to have a bunch of enemies. They're going to shoot missiles at you and you're going to try to avoid them. And that was super appreciated because we don't have that really. The only times we've ever really had that when you're talking to someone as a mission giver and they just give the exact same description every time. Or like we've had it with not Tessa, Dooley, right? Xenothreat. And it's just nice to have someone talking to you while you're doing missions.
Yeah, that's my issue, though, is exactly what you just said, is during the mission, he's not talking to me. And I have another really big issue is in the Evo description of the notes, it's like, these missions are for players who kind of already know what they're doing. And it's like, what? These are like perfectly set up for people who don't. Like, I was like,
the first few for sure,
yeah, and it was kind of like we should totally be going from the tutorial, and this should be like their next task is to talk to Gilly if you're into combat, and it should be to talk to, like, I don't know, Recco Battaglia. If you guys know who that is, it's a mission giver from Nyx. So like just random name out there, but like about mining, because she was a mining person, and
Yeah.
you know, if and then like the path you want to go, there should be mission givers to teach you the basics for that. But I found it really problematic. I should say slightly problematic that he talks to you at the beginning, but while I'm actually going through, there's never this tutorial of like, hey, press T to lock onto the character. Hey, here's a pip.
Yeah.
Maybe you should try and hit it. Missiles are middle mouse button if you want to fire missiles at the target. It was all these expectations, like you were already supposed to know these things, and players don't know those things when they first start, right? And I know there's like the little things that are going off on the bottom, and you can play dumb and pretend like you don't know, but the only way to actually know if these things work are to watch people who don't know. And I think one of the best examples of this was, if you guys are familiar with Lyric, really popular streamer on Twitch. 5 years ago, let's say, it was like one of the first times he jumped into SC, and they already had the tooltips, and he followed the tooltips, and everything was fine. So there is that, but I think I'm asking for too much to expect the mission system to, like, the moment I lock onto a character, for Gilly to be like, good job, all right, now that you've locked onto him, do you see that little circle? That's what you're aiming for. Like, that's where I would like to see these missions go, at least in the first couple stages. And then, like, when you get all the way down to the Polaris, it would be like, hey, hold right click and get into the precision mode, and you really need to take out those turrets in order to hit them with missiles, or or torpedoes or whatever. And explaining all those things. I'd like it to hold the hand a little bit more. And their whole thing is like, we don't want to hold hands. It's like the whole idea of a tutorial, is to hold your hand. Like, what are we doing?
I agree that it should hold your hand a little bit more. What you're talking about for me might be a little too much, but like I would be like it should 100% be a thing when you go into that first one, and you like the first thing you should say, but like when you get in there anyway, is scan for your target, because a lot of them end up spawning about 10 kilometers away anyway. They're not going to pop up on radar necessarily straight away. And, him saying scan for your target is a pretty normal thing for him to say. When I see that target, that's when the tooltip should come up. If you press this button, blah, 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 right? It should be like triggered tooltips based on the thing. Just because you want it to be a little bit of both, and a little bit like, you don't want Gilly to be like, if you press the left mouse button on your mouse, you will start shooting.
You want it to be in world, but you want him to be like, hey, lock on to the character. Good.
Yes,
You want him to be like, hey, this is your aiming thing. Like, it might be somewhat obvious, but like I would like it to be a bit more obvious, a little bit. So yeah, that's what I'd like to see.
That's why I originally said I think it is a step in the right direction again. But it does need to handhold you a little bit more. I also think there's a big jump as well at the moment in between the missions, where like the first like 3 missions you could do in a starter ship. The 4th mission, it's like it's iffy, and then the rest of them is like, no, you need stuff. Like you need either like heavy fighters, multi-crew. The very last one, I did not try, but I imagine they are, because the description of the final mission, actually the last 2 missions, I believe, are, hey, go find people and do this together.
Okay, cool. I'm assuming they're shareable. I just, for whatever reason, it crossed my mind completely to look for that. I'm assuming they are shareable, though. But yeah, so that is, like, guys, this is, as far as we are aware, 4.1.1. It's a .1 patch. That's okay in my mind. I don't know. Do you have any issues with this? I don't.
I don't, because it's also an Invictus patch. This is the Invictus patch. So, like,
when's Invictus supposed to be in May?
Next month, yeah. And
this might not be the Invictus.
Supposed to come. Well, this is supposed to come out start of May. Kind of like the current patch is the April patch, right?
Yeah.
So it does track that it'll be Invictus, as well as if you go to Orison, they've got like a bunch of Invictus stuff started.
Gotcha.
Just hasn't actually started itself.
True, true, true.
So yeah, it'll be the Invictus patch, which means it's going to be a little more content light than what we've had in the last 3 patches because they've got to focus on that a little bit. But at the same time, well, first off, redacted space combat mission right there.
We don't know what this is.
We don't know what that is. We know that they wanted something to happen during Invictus, which to be honest, they've wanted to do a couple of times. I remember Siege of Orison originally was supposed to happen during like a convention. I remember if it was Invictus or IE, but like that was one of their initial intentions. So they've wanted to do something like that during Invictus for a while. So that could still be coming. That could still be a thing.
Yeah. I don't know about you. I want this to just be a bug fix patch. Like it's a .1.
Yep.
Just stop. Like do your ship sale. Like this is where I'd like it to stop. And like if the redacted thing is not huge, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
But that's me. I
like
don't know what other people
the
think.
UE training missions are not bound to be particularly extremely buggy because they seem to be set up on just like the regular like bounty missions and the regular like flying mercenary missions. With the only difference being that they're at new locations in some cases, which is the
they're like
the
mining
the asteroid bases.
Yeah, they're like little mining asteroid bases. They were a bit underwhelming. I think when people see them, they'll kind of like sneak peek last week versus what it actually is was kind of like, ooh, right. Well, those are lame.
They're very similar to the Pyro ones. They are new assets, but they're very similar to the Pyro ones.
Yeah,
and so
they're even Pyro amalgamated, owned apparently. Like,
oh really?
The description of them says that. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Oh, speaking of that, I want to bring up the sneak peek as well for this week. Here you go. There's actually 2 things. Here you go. This has to be military. No, there are literally 2 things. I didn't notice this either. There's 2 types of
you can
the rounded and the flat. But it's hard to say. This looks like, I can't tell what the words say or anything, but they're very Banu-y or alien looking. I don't know. So it's clearly these new currencies for Wicklow and stuff, and I think a lot of the feedback was, none of this content is really solo based. So my guess is whatever these are will probably be something that players can just kind of earn on their own at their own time. At least I hope they are. So we stop hearing the complaining about that kind of stuff, because it is annoying that the event was very heavily focused on not just groups, large groups, right? Like it took about 100 of us to get that Polaris all together, about all the people we interacted with that were all a part of that thing. It was a lot of people, and it was a lot of time and all that stuff. That's not very, what's the word? I don't know. It just doesn't work for the average player, right? So hopefully this is like, hey, if you go out, like apparently mercenary script is what some of this stuff is called. Hopefully if you're just doing bounty missions, you're earning this stuff and you can turn it into them, and that would be nice.
Yeah, one thing I was going to say, do you think, and this is a bit more a prediction side, because it's not on Evo yet as far as we can tell, do you think these will be a physicalized currency that you trade in? Because that kind of sucks. I don't like that as a concept.
Physicalized, I mean, you can call it that, but it's like
I just want this to be in my wallet. I just want to check not the Mo wallet anymore, but just the wallet, and just have script currency.
Yeah, I mean, all of his currency is physical, right? The Polaris things were physical. The favors are physical, but it's you don't like interact with them much. You just bring them up a freight elevator and put them down, and hopefully they come up with like a, I don't know, 2012 or 2019 something 100 system where you literally just turn in the item like every other video game I've ever played in my life. And that would be nice. But so like the physicalized part will not be as much of an issue if it's like, it's just a stack in my inventory that I move into my local inventory. Would you have a problem with that? I personally wouldn't, because
I guess, as long as it's easy to
harp,
then, it's fine.
Not to harp, but tier 0 item recovery, all this stuff, tier 1, tier 2, there's got to be something worth looting in people's backpacks. this could easily be one of those things, right? So this isn't harping. This would be the opposite of that. This would be making whatever changes that they're doing to that some people like that I may not. This would make something that I do like out of that, right? So yeah,
that's fair. Yep.
So I would like them to stay physical for those reasons, but the way we interact with them definitely needs to be improved, right? So
yeah. It was purely a like, man, it's just annoying to like have to move them and stuff. That was my
100%.
only gripe with it. Because I mean, if they had the option of people losing actual UEC when you died, I'd be for it. Not all of it, but like some of it. But
yeah. True. But yeah, so again, going into this, it just comes down to like, are we feeling good about like this patch? Like, are we feeling good about the way things have gone? Like, are they doing enough as a, the way I look at that question now is it's almost condescending or whatever. Like, they're doing so much. Like, I'm not saying that when I wrote the title, but it's, is it enough to keep you engaged? Like, are you engaged with the game anymore? Are you starting to lose interest? Why? If you aren't, why? And so on and so forth. Like I said, I've been more engaged with the game in the past week than I have been for the entire past 6 months, I'd say, because I found a little fun thing. But yeah, it's like, I think I will be less engaged with the game, but way happier with what they did if this patch and these 100 plus listed fixes are not potential fixes and are actual fixes. And we don't spend our entire time trying to make some dumb event that no one cares about or won't care about in a few weeks. Supply or Die was great. A Line of Mine's great. All these things are great, but they're like little blips. And the fixing the bugs are like what really matters, right? So I don't know. And then no video content too. Like that's not helping either.
Yeah. Now let me talk about something in Evo that did happen that got me really damn excited.
Please tell me, because I don't know what any of this. I don't know what this is.
Well, it is also them fixing an issue we had previously with this new initiative of them bringing in this narrative content. Because it didn't feel like it was in the world. It didn't feel like I was getting told the story. I either had to only check through the journal or, had to see these, like they added it to loading screens, was a good addition, but that was all we had. So I died a lot because I kept on trying to solo like the level 8 mission, which was stupid, but it's fine. And so I wound up in the hospital. I go down and I hear a voice line between two characters and I'm like, wait, what? I turn around, I go over to the reception of the hospital and there is a woman and the receptionist having an argument. The woman is complaining about, please, I need you to check my, what is it called? Imprint. Like, these are supposed to be safe. We were told these are supposed to be safe.
Oh,
and the receptionist is going like, look, there's not much I can do.
Here.
Like, you have to calm down. Then it breaks a little bit. She repeats the same line again. And then he says, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. And I was like, this is actually like one of the coolest things that we actually finally have relevant, like ongoing lore conversations in the game. So I am super, super excited about that because once again, we're only 4 months into this narrative push.
Yep.
And that's the stuff in game I want to see. When I go to Pyro during Supply or Die, I want people to talk about how there's all this extra stuff around and like how people keep on dying and stuff. That is awesome. So, yeah.
Did
that got
you
me really
open
excited.
your journal?
Yeah. I did not, no.
So for people who are like, are there anything about the regen event stuff? The journal has it all listed there. There's a bunch of stuff in the journal for that. So when you do get to the PTU, I think the first thing you should do is probably open your mobiGlass, check out the journal, and read up on what's going on and stuff like that as well. Or go to the hospital and listen to the NPCs deal with it.
Just die. It's the easiest way to do it.
So there's some stuff there. The Copian missions are back. So for the people who are like, oh man, it's really hard to get the Cave Copian stuff, those are back in the PTU, which is really good. And what else did I see? I saw something else in the journal that looked interesting, but I can't remember what it was. But yeah, take a look at the journal area and you'll see some cool stuff. And I don't know. That's really all I got. Maybe we go to
Yeah.
callers, or am I missing anything else that we want to chat about?
I mean, yeah, it was kind of a light week. Like even with that Evo patch, obviously not much to talk about. We sort of went through it all.
Yeah.
So we're now just kind of seeing where this goes and what it's going to look like. Like I said, likely to be the Invictus patch. What's the mission going to look like at Invictus? What is Invictus in general going to look like? Is probably going to, we'll probably see more of that over this coming week.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So that's all we really got. I see you in chat for like you want us to talk about the company filings and their actual how much money they've spent or lost or whatever. I'm not ignoring it because it's like something that we should ignore or whatever, or like I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just I personally, and I think Croncy as well, I like to talk about the video game and I don't give a shit about the company. Yeah, I don't care about the company.
Yeah.
If it fails,
I
it
care about
fails.
some things.
If
I
it
care about
if it
some things,
succeeds,
but
it succeeds.
I certainly don't care about like, you know, oh, they had to loan out this. They had to like I barely understand my own mortgage. You think I'm gonna
Exactly.
understand how the hell it works with CIG? Like,
It's very clear to me that the amount of like drama that goes around this stuff is very similar to
mhm.
like talking about politics on Twitch channels and things like that. A majority of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
audience isn't mature enough or isn't smart enough to actually have these conversations in the first place. At
Mhm.
least I can only speak for myself. I'm speaking directly about myself. I don't think I'm mature enough or smart enough to have those conversations. I don't think my
Yeah,
audience
I'm
is.
certainly not.
So I choose not to have them. It's not that I'm ignoring
Mhm.
those things or don't think that my platform should be used for good or anything like those kind of things,
Yeah.
but it's just I don't think the audience is mature enough to deal with that stuff.
Yep.
And I think it's very clear based on the reactions that people have had to their tax filings and things like that that they've done. So that's why we're
Mhm.
not discussing them. Okay?
Yep.
And I don't want anybody to call in and start talking about that stuff because I don't care.
Yep.
I care about the video
We will
game.
veto you.
There's plenty to talk about why the game is bad, good, happy, great, sad, or whatever. And I'd rather just stick to that because that's
Yep.
actually what's interesting because we're gamers and I am not an investor in this stupid company. I don't care. So we
What do you mean?
good?
I've invested Imperium level money in it.
Yeah, I'm invested, but it's there's no return. You know, I didn't invest to get a return back. Well, I did. I invested to get
Yep.
a video game return back, and that's the thing that I
Yep.
would like to focus on. Right? Is that return on investment? Don't really care about how much money they are making or losing. Doesn't matter to me. All
What I
right.
do care about is our callers. If you want to call
Yeah.
in to the Answer the Call in show, you can go to the Discord link in Mike's chat or the Discord link in the YouTube channel and go into the green room. At the moment, we have, because we've got callers early, maybe some more room. So give it a try. If we don't get to you this week, we can always try it next
Yeah,
week.
we'll let you know if it's like kind of winding down and it's like, hey, we probably
Mhm.
won't get to you. All right. Ready for the first one?
Let's do it.
All right. We got I think first time caller, Deadmeat. Dead, welcome.
How you doing, Deadmeat?
Good morning, guys. Good mic check. Make sure you can hear me.
Sound
Yeah,
great.
you're all good. We
All
noticed that you
right.
were in the call room from like 3 hours ago. So very eager today.
Yeah.
Well, first time actual caller, long time listener.
Hell
Just
yeah.
was unsure on what the time of start of this morning was, so I actually popped in
Gotcha.
at like 5 a.m. But so, the topic for today: are they doing enough? I'm fully with you guys on this one. I mean, it's been a year that's really not had that much like drive to want to play because of what they've been doing. Now, granted, it's stuff that we need,
Mhm.
but the mine and the line missions when it worked, we got one
Awesome.
round was phenomenal. Like
Yeah.
5 hours
Mhm.
straight, 4 orgs all battling. It was a blast.
Yep.
But then that was a 1 in a million. And some of the stuff they've been coming out with it, the new armor set, I kind of really felt disappointed because they pitched that at CitizenCon. These new armor sets are going to be particular for roles, and then we get an armor set that's looks like what they advertised, but it's just non-functional. It's a physique, it's appearance.
Apparently it kind of
So
works. I still haven't seen the guy's video, but like Mr. Kraken made a video about it and it like had a little carrot over players' heads. So it's a tracker suit, so it was like technically tracking them, but I don't know how it works. I didn't mess with it at all because I actually have not looted the armor yet. Because again, we were grinding for the Polaris. I was getting Quantanium. I was getting Karenite. That was my job. I have got nothing else. I looted my first Volt rifles today.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm a little behind on some of this stuff.
Yeah, today, even I've played like barely any of live, and even I've got a bunch of parallax rifles.
Yeah,
so the Volt rifles, phenomenal. I like those.
I didn't care to grab them, to be honest, in most cases. Like, I had the opportunity to. I would just let other people.
I would definitely, I'll keep an eye out to see if, look for this little carrot you're talking about. I hadn't noticed it before, but, certainly not what I, perceived them as they talked about these armor sets when they're first coming out. As you guys were talking earlier, the new training tutorial, which I've only seen discussion on, I'm not in Evocati myself or, any of the testing, occasionally in PTU, but I'm loving the idea that they're going with it. We've needed that for a long time, and what they gave us before was, a joke. I mean, granted, it's better than nothing then, but
once again,
we needed something.
The new player experience is important because there are lots of people who will play Star Citizen who have played maybe 2 games ever in their life, right? And they do need to know all of those things, but there's obviously that extra level of like, all right, cool, but how are you actually playing the game? All right, well, now here's the combat tutorial. And that is also a reason why we said like there needs to be a little bit extra onto it, where it is telling you a bit more of the specifics about combat. It is still doing an okay job of like, here's how a encounter works and like, that sort of stuff.
I also think this should be an arena commander. So they could like literally pause the screen.
Yeah.
Like, it could be a separate game,
and like
type.
arrows and
I will say I do like that it is in universe because you also get rewarded for it. So like you're incentivized to learn how to play the game with money.
That's a good point.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, this game we all know is vastly overwhelming for a new player to walk into. So something that is holding your hand and is giving you the needs for the basics that you're going to have in every part of the verse is important.
Yeah, like now that we've got this, and Mike touched on it a little bit when we were talking about it earlier, but now that we've got this, it opens the way for, all right, cool, here is your mining tutorial missions, here is your salvage tutorial missions, and so on, that are just very, very basic, teach you how to do the thing, now go away, right?
Yeah.
Hold your hand through the first part of each game loop. That way it gives you a taste, but lets you build your curiosity to explore it. You made mention when we were looking at the notes about the Redacted Space Mission, possibly, and have been mission through Invictus. Personally, I hope not. I mean, because they skipped on the free fly earlier this year, so I imagine they're going to push for having it this year. And we know what free fly event plus mission means. Means pissing in the wind. We're going to be standing on servers that are broken for an entire event. And so I kind of hope it's not that case with this one. That they just have, a hopefully smooth running Invictus patch.
Yeah, I also think that we just need to... I think we just need to have many people in servers and killing it and getting these bugs to show up so they can fix them. So I don't care.
I also think that a lot of the like your perception about that is not necessarily unique. Like you do hear a lot, like, hey, just do nothing during these Invictus and free flies and whatnot, everything breaks. That does happen less and less every year. Last year, I believe Invictus, we had a pretty solid Invictus. Not so much. It was kind of switched. Usually it's the other way around. But you're still kind of right. Like if there is this new mission type that everyone wants to do during Invictus, it may be a bad experience for veterans.
Yeah, but if their initiative is to actually fix the game, then the hope would be that if they do a free fly, it would be it would be ready to go for those kind of things. And if it's not ready to go, then you don't do the free fly. But I don't know. I mean, their sales were great without doing free flies, so who knows? Who knows? But yeah.
And that much like you, I was actually very impressed that they didn't do the last free fly. It actually gave me a little bit of faith back in them again.
Yeah,
It means
but then,
it means they listened to an engineer say, "Guys, it's not going to work.
yeah, for once,
Please." And they're like,
please.
"All right,
I,
fine."
Right, right.
they-
Um, the sneak peek you showed, which I hadn't seen that, but this just it caught my eye whenever you're showing it. Possibly raw or crude
no,
ore bars versus
no,
processed ones for crafting later.
no.
No, it's pretty much confirmed to be Scrip. So it is
Uh,
currency. Um, yeah, yeah.
just
I'll
from the perspective of it on the table, it looked like this massive bar. I'm like, well, I mean, that's
You gotta
money.
kind of think of it like, so
just
you have like
just
the
stop.
generic science fiction script, right? Where they literally like hand you a physical thing that you then like download onto an app and whatnot to get your money. And so yeah, so you can see from these descriptions here, um, yeah, it just is currency,
Yep.
Okay.
which is
Well, I
good.
guess
That is still a good thing. It is not. It is maybe not as cool as crafting material, but it at least is like an
it's still
extra
something we
level.
need.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%.
Hey,
Yeah,
guess
diversity of
what?
what we're trying for out there.
Reputation might actually matter. If your rep is higher, you will get
Yeah.
more script. Like things like these things, like just simple basic stuff could happen through this. Whereas
Yep.
earning more money when money is valueless, but script could be worth more because of what you get for it in different places. And it might be worth more at one mission giver for something versus another. It just opens up the doors for lots of options. But yeah, it's definitely not ore based on all of this stuff. So yeah,
Yep.
who knows?
Okay. Well, I can hope for later down the road then.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure.
But yeah, is there anything else? Because we do have quite a few callers, so we'd like to make sure we try to get to them before we let you
Okay.
go.
Well, just a quick note, and then one thing I just want to really talk about. You know,
Mhm.
Croncy, you talking about at the hospital. How the
Yeah.
interactions were going with the NPCs. I've seen a lot of which I love the new narrative wild lines they've been adding. Yes. And
Yeah.
the AI behaviors, both with the friendly NPCs in the cities and the hostiles out in the verse. They actually feel like they have some personality for once, and I'm loving it.
Yeah. I have never felt like the world but I was gonna say I've never felt like the world was this full before. The world has never felt full.
Yeah.
Period. And then they added these little bits in Pyro where the NPCs were talking, not necessarily about relevant stuff, but they were talking and they were having
Just
conversation.
general
And
banter in the
now,
background.
exactly. And now that they're talking about things that I'm interested in, that now it feels like, okay, cool. Now I feel like I'm living in a world, right? I'm feeling in a breathing world. And that's really important. Like the dreaded, I don't want to say the dreaded word immersion, but that's how I feel immersed in games like this, is when things around me are, actually convincing me that they're part of the story.
They're drawing you into it, and that's what the game needs to
Exactly.
do.
Exactly.
I guess on the closing note, the only thing I would say is, as far as are they doing enough with this patch, is they've pushed a lot for saying that they're building towards stability and fixing bugs, but we've always heard the talk of they're putting the horse before the cart, and it feels like they're running in with a shirt full of apples and constantly dropping the apples, going back, picking up to get to the horse and cart.
Yeah.
And then they're dangling the apple in front of the horse to get it to move, but the problem is the horse is sitting and facing a cliff. So every time they get something going that's exciting, it falls off the cliff and it's broken. And, then they run back and try to fix stuff. When my biggest complaint is bed logging. Like, we can't survive out in the verse and live in the verse if we can't stay in the verse. We got to backtrack always to go back to a station anytime we make progress to go somewhere.
That's not entirely true anymore, but yes, I'll give you an example. In the last 4 days, I've gotten on the same exact server that I was on, and a ship that I left flying by it, like I fell out of it and it was just flying. It stopped flying, but it's still in the game, just there. Like it's a Connie. It's just there every single time I log in. And then on another server, I have another ship and motorbike that were just there, and I was able to go back and get them. So, in theory, if you're able to choose the servers and maybe wait in a queue to get in it, you can have the experience you're looking for. But it's just in theory at the moment.
Okay, I only say that because few patches back, I think when we first got the like settlements and whatnot, I was able to actually, basically survive out in the verse and just go live off planet side. Bed log out, log back in at the settlement, and then continue on gathering stuff and selling it at their little kiosks, which
Yeah, I
was
mean, I've bed logged.
fun
I
and
don't know
actually
what
felt
issue
like
you're having, but I've bed logged in this patch.
really
Yeah.
might
What's
be
your problem
particularly
with bed
just the
logging?
ships I'm using then, because I've had a lot of the larger ships, which you got a big ship, you outfit it with everything possible, and they go out there and then you can't. I mean, like the Polaris. I think I tried the Carrick. What else? But
I don't
anyways,
know.
we won't go on that forever. I know you guys got a lot of not a
Look
lot
at
of time and some a lot more viewers.
Yeah, look at chat. They're starting to make suggestions. Like if you're wearing Morozov armor, maybe that's a problem or something. I have no idea, but I've had no issues, and I wear Morozov armor, so I don't know. But yeah, we'll leave you there, Deadmeat, just because we got a few more callers. But yeah, thanks for calling in, and glad you did your first call, and we know you were waiting for a while, so we gave you some extra time. So thanks, man.
That's all right.
Yeah,
but,
right.
Yeah, appreciate you guys' time, guys.
All right, catch you soon.
All right, have a good one.
Bye now. All right, quickly before we bring in the next caller, though, I actually forgot something. There were 2 sneak peeks, technically, this week. I don't know if anybody caught this, but this was in the roadmap update section of the newsletter. Ready for this? Bam.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I did see people post
Yeah, a lot of people caught this.
Yeah.
So
yeah, looking good. Do you reckon
the Vault
it'll
SMG
hit 411?
I don't know. Like with the roadmap update, they put this pictures in the roadmap update, and it's like, well, that wasn't a card on the roadmap update. So it's like, wait,
Well, it could be related to the background, and like that's actually part of the mission or something. But
maybe, but that's also the contested zone area, I think.
Yeah,
maybe
I was
not.
gonna say, yeah, it looks like the drug area in contested zones. At least
Yeah,
mostly looks like that.
like it's got the table on the right side that has all the whatever in there. So I don't know, but Volt SMG. A lot of people like the Volt rifle. Volt SMG.
Yep,
would be something. I love SMGs, so I would be excited for this one, and hopefully it makes it in the .1. But it was supposed to make it in. Like we're supposed to have I think the rifle, the SMG, and the pistol, and maybe a shotgun as well. So in 4.1,
right?
Because that was in like a post made by Niku, I think. Some community manager, it was either Niku or Chris, made a post about like all the descriptions of the new weapons. Yeah. And then we only got one. So I don't think it's like a stretch to assume that might be in the next patch. But yeah.
I think that's reasonable.
That's that. But all right, let's go to our next caller. Sound good?
Let's do it.
All right, ReigningJoker. Welcome, dude.
How you doing, Joker?
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Howdy.
Yeah, we hear you great.
Oh, it's a pleasure to talk to you both. Croncy, this is actually the time we've actually spoken. We spoke during the last CitizenCon. I approached you and Maya. You are giants, towering above me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, not to mention, like me and Maya are both like 6'4".
Yeah, Maya's a monster.
Yeah.
I'm 5'6". But yeah,
just a little shorter.
You when I said hello, Croncy, you turned around and said to me, "No, I'm SaltEMike," and I looked at you and I went, "Mike doesn't fly."
True.
Yeah, I wouldn't make it there. That's funny.
But yeah, as I said, it's a pleasure to talk to you both. So
likewise.
To answer your question, are they doing enough in this year's patches? The answer is yes, because they are making all these tiny adjustments that's making the game more playable to us. Now, with the latest patches and the latest thing, there are always the problems. For example, quite literally last night, me and the org actually managed to do the align and mine.
Okay.
Nice.
But here's the big but. It took us 10 server jumps to try and find a server that actually allowed us to do it.
Yeah.
And there was 17 of us on last night, and we were trying to find a server half hour before the event started, and it was half hour after the event was supposed to start that we actually found a server.
I guess maybe the question should have been, did they do too much in 4.1? Right? Or did they not do enough bug fixing or something? Like, are they sticking to what they said they were going to do? Like, I guess that's more of, maybe I think I just phrased the question really poorly, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, that is everyone's experience, and most people aren't willing to jump 10 servers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm and most of the org at that point had decided that, you know, unless one comes up, we're going to all break off and do our own thing, because spending an hour trying to find the correct server that would actually allow you to do the event, well, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But aside from that, am I on the game more than what I was last year? The answer to that is no. I jump on for the org events because the org events are fun, they are engaging, because the people in the org make it fun and engaging. But have I spent a lot of time actually on the game by myself, mining, you know, running freight? Not as much this year as what I spent on it last year.
Yeah, which that's the thing, right? It feels surprising because like Pyro came out. Each of these patches has had like a big player content thing. And this is what I was talking about before. Like all of those feel really cool, but because they've been like the new cool thing keeps just having big hurdles in front of it, and the repeated process of that gets really exhausting.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you have guys like posting on Spectrum that work there saying we're putting our successful hot fixes in. Meanwhile, none of the actual fixes of like the gameplay stuff were successful. I think the client crashes were successful. A lot of people were having client crash issues, and those were successful. But like the mining bugs still exist. I still can't eat or drink correctly. Like, right? Like I went to go try to use a key card in a door, and I had to drop it and pick it up. And like those were all things that they're trying to hotfix, but they're not getting fixed. And it's that's been the tough stuff for me. Is just I still can't loot character, you know, easily. Like those are the things that we should be paying attention to. Those are the things that we should be focusing on right now. So when you do an align and mine, the entire experience is enjoyable, and it's not constantly being like your enjoyment level. You're ready to go. Everyone in your org was ready to go, right? Everyone's ready, and then we can't find a server. Bang, enjoyment level goes down. Oh, I killed somebody. His body disappeared. Can't get the keys from them. I know they just used the keys because all the kiosks have a timer of like 30 seconds knocked off. Now my enjoyment level's here and just gets knocked down, and then eventually you just don't play because you're over it, right? And it's
yes,
that's where we are right now, and that's the exact opposite place of where I think everyone expected we should be when they came on camera, when they wrote the letter from the chairman and all that stuff of this is what we're doing this year. Do it. Stop saying you're going to do something and then turn things into ship sales and you got to make your money. I get it. Invictus, sell your ships, but you got to focus these patches in the right place. And that's I guess what I'm saying is like, was Hathor just too much? And that's why we're feeling this way. Probably. I mean, that was a majority of the discussion on this podcast for the last few weeks, right?
I also think something like Hathor in Stanton was needed.
Yeah,
sure.
Like that's what I'm saying. That's
a
why
real
like,
jump
the
down.
content itself is good and is cool.
Yes,
but the bad quality of the implementation, which like it's hard to assume, but you can kind of assume would have been better if it was given another month and a half.
Yeah,
would have had such a better impact.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's going back to the CIG patch cycles of they don't get enough people testing it, therefore they push these things out to the live servers, and things deteriorate as they do. That is the Star Citizen cycle as such. In regards to other cycles that aren't as good this year, with the content they're bringing to us through Jared and his team, it is unfortunate that they aren't getting that to us. That normally the videos were always, you know, entertaining and informative, They are doing so because they aren't focusing too much on features, which I'm going to come to in just a moment. But that, yeah, it would be nice to see where they are with features that they're hoping to bring in later this year. Now, I know they don't want to do a massive drop for us because they're probably going to holding a load back for the Digital Citizen Con.
Yeah.
But we would like to see that because that's what makes that brings some more hype for us for the game. To say to say this is coming, this is their progress. Fantastic.
Yeah, like as players, it's obviously a lot better for us to have more consistent, more frequent, but like smaller bits of like video content, right? That sort of keeps us engaged. There is certainly a thing to say that like for the grand scheme of things, it usually can be a lot better for them to just do a big reveal of whatever it might be. And the examples would be like CitizenCon or like a game trailer release of something. My assumption is that, well, like it is, whether they're successful or not, it is clear that they're trying to do a less feature heavy year, like they said. Once again, whether they're successful or not is up for grabs. But I think they're also just trying to hold stuff back for Squadron release stuff. Like a lot of the videos that we used to get were sometimes straight up, hey, here is a Squadron feature that's coming over to Star Citizen, all been recorded essentially in Squadron, or something adjacent, right? If you leave that for potential Squadron release, that makes a lot more sense to me, and would make it a bit more. It'd make a bit more sense to me why they've cut down on the video content this year, I guess.
Yeah, it does.
I just feel like the devs aren't available. If they're the cadence in which they've been releasing patches, the devs are just getting annihilated. It never stops. Like this was the first time that there was an actual break between a release of a patch and the release of a PTU. Like it was literally a day or two later when 4.0.2 dropped, the 4.1 PTU came out, right? So they when are they supposed to record this stuff?
Fair.
Yeah, I'm did Jared not mention that they were doing a video about item insurance and stuff, and then it just never happened?
I thought it was like SCL maybe.
Yeah, it never happened though.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I do not know. It just became a post, probably because people are too busy.
Yeah, that is also kind of what we hope, that they are too busy. Moving on to my next point is features. Normally at this point in a year, we've had in previous years, of course, not every year is the same. In previous years, we have had a massive feature drop.
Yeah.
Which would bring all of the instability to the live servers,
sure,
as it would do. Which is
Hathor is that. Like we need to stop pretending that it was not that. And that it was not similar to a big feature drop. It may not have been.
I guess the difference would be, normally when we have a big feature drop, everything breaks on every corner.
Yeah.
This isn't quite as drastic as that, but it is still the cool, fun new thing that you want to do is broken.
Yeah. Just respawning broke, mining broke.
And like half the stuff that normally breaks.
Yeah.
I logged in. Success.
Quantum travel's getting worse. But we logged in, so that's good.
Yep.
And we got a new loading screen. Sweet.
Yes.
So I don't know.
And with all of these quality of life features, because they are quality of life features, as Deadmeat mentioned, the free fly that normally happens, I think that the servers may actually be able to handle the influx, but I think we will see the degradation of the servers happen a lot quicker during that time. So instead of where we're seeing them degrade over a week, we will see it in a couple of days because there's just that many more people logging in.
Yeah, like, did they even fix the desync problems, or did people just stop playing as much? Like, that's what
good point. Because I was gonna say, like like 2 weeks ago, we mentioned that we had to postpone the first race of the System 7 due to the desync.
Yep.
It was a lot better today, right? A lot better today. But yeah, why is it a lot better is an interesting question.
It's usually because people stop playing.
Yeah. And I have got a question for Croncy in regard to the new training. Do you get rep for doing those?
I did not check, but you like I said,
You
you do get
don't.
money, and it seems like they are also a faction after the fact. From what I can tell, there was a mission that you could grab from them that was, at least when I tried to grab it, was broken.
It's
Like, it
Foxwell.
didn't actually accept, didn't actually give it to me. Yeah, it's Foxwell. So
Yeah. They're the
so
mercenary.
I imagine
Yeah,
I imagine there'll be
mercenary.
stuff, but also like you don't really necessarily care about getting rep while you're doing the tutorial missions because they're not exactly repeatable. Well, I imagine they won't be repeatable in live. So like you would want the reputation to come through other ways.
Yeah.
I hope they are repeatable if they're more tutorial type. It's like after a while you can go back to it and refresh your skills, maybe. But I know what you mean by that, Croncy. Yeah,
That's kind of all the points that I had.
Okay.
Written down. As I said, it's a pleasure talking to you. I am having fun on the game, but
Good.
in between jumping on for org events or doing the random bounty
You're
hunting,
not allowed to have fun in game. They're coming for you, buddy.
No.
Stop
Yeah,
having
strategy,
fun.
gonna come grab
I
you.
know. But hopefully my time spent on Cyberpunk 2077's kind of throwing them off.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But
Thanks very much,
Reigning
Joker. We
Joker.
appreciate the call.
Thank you for calling in, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, bye now.
No worries. Have a good one,
Bye.
mate.
All right, and Space Monkey's coming in, so prepare. I don't know. I'm trying to say something so he knows that we're bringing him in, so he unmutes. But it just didn't work. It failed. Space Monkey, can you hear us?
Space Monkey.
You might have the bug. You're muted. Nope, he's unmuted. Okay.
Nope, he's muted.
No,
Nope, he's
now
unmuted
I'm
again.
unmuted. I was. You hear me now? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. How are you doing, guys?
We're good. How about yourself?
You're doing all right.
Oh, I'm pretty well, pretty motivated to play Star Citizen, and I think it also fits as a good answer to your question.
Sure.
Because for
sure.
me, as like we talked about roles or type of players in the past, and I think for players who are the achiever type of players, the patches are pretty fun at the moment because at least the last one, because yeah, you're something to work for or not play for to get something that you cannot get anywhere else.
How are you participating when, I'm constantly reading threads about how difficult it is?
Let's say it this way. I mean, as a solo player, and I did a lot of solo playing, I just hop servers and look for open holes. I bedlog, which for me is not an issue at all. I can bedlog without any problem and come back, even on planet surfaces, which was really bad in the past, but now it works really well for me.
Okay.
I'm not ending up in the sun or somewhere. I'm ending up on the planet where I left.
When you get out, you're not falling through the surface. That was a common thing in the past.
No.
Yeah, it happened since the patch drop, it happened twice to me. What wasn't really occurring much, so it was fine for me.
Sure.
And searching for open holes, and then sometimes I'm lucky in getting in. And I gathered 1,300 Karenites so far as a solo player. I think it's pretty good.
Holy, that's badass. Yeah. What a legend.
And thanks. Sometimes I also play with other people, but mostly solo. But I have not done the other stuff so far. I found some Genelite in the cave, which is also pretty surprising.
Nice. Yep.
Positively surprising. But the other stuff I need to
all
get.
The Janelite that we had for the Polaris was found in that cave. It just is a small chance that it will spawn. We scooped it up, not even realizing it was Janelite. We were just mining everything as quick as we can while bombs were going off above us, and there just happened to be Janelite in my backpack one time, and it was like, oh, sweet. Yeah.
That's cool. That's really good. A really pleasant surprise, because finding Genelite, I did it once in the past. It was really hard to find, and And if I do it in a group, I mean, coming back to the statement from the guy earlier that had issues finding a working server, I have a hint because I think during the week they have less servers because less people are playing. But when the weekend comes, they automatically spin up additional servers. And when you find servers above the number 200, at least that's my theory, those are the fresh ones.
Okay.
And I found one yesterday where every cave was open. Not degraded at all. And if you're hunting for servers with a group, type in the r_display info and search in the server line for the servers with like numbers above 200. I mean, I ended up on the server with Space Cutlet and his crew yesterday, and we fought them to death for 7 hours. It was a mess, but it was pretty entertaining.
Nice.
So it sounds like you've been having a pretty good experience with the new content. So is it safe to assume, with this question at the bottom, that for you the answer is yes?
Yes.
At least at the very least, like they've done enough to keep you entertained.
Totally. And it also, despite, I mean, for me, there's this one big bug that you can break the cycle of the activity while with grabbing the card before pressing the button.
Should be fixed in Evo, but
yeah,
we don't know.
But currently we have that, and for me, it still feels less buggy than the contested zones, which is a good thing because it looks like they're progressing in their activity to quality assure their content. Because with the contested zones, I could end up on a door that I couldn't pass because the thing for the what is it called? The
fuse. I mean, you could put it in, but you have to use a tractor beam. But yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes it was even bugged beyond that. And at the beginning, I didn't know, so I was like frustrated, like, okay, this is the point of where I'm stuck, so I cannot continue. Then you had printers that didn't work, and all the printers work in the Hathor thing. I don't know if you found a printer that it was not working, but for me, everything
That's a
worked
good point.
fine.
Yeah, of all the times that it has, well, all the times that I've tried it and then something else is bugged out, the printers have worked. It's been like other sore points that seem sort of unique to Hathor.
I mean, the doors work, the printers work. The main thing in the main building for the PAF works for me at least all the time. So put the cardboards in, it rotates, it doesn't get stuck. And I mean, compared to the contested, I mean, even in the executive hangar, I had sometimes the black door and couldn't enter because this was fucked up. And this is really frustrating because now you can see when it's bugged and you can search for another opportunity to play it. Back in the day, I mean, some weeks ago, when you end up collecting all the cards and you have that black door and you're not sure if you're getting in and throwing away all your hours you played before because you collected all the cards. That felt much more frustrating than Hathor at the moment.
Yeah.
My parents are begging me to answer questions about old hockey equipment if I need to throw it away. So sorry if I'm a little distracted, but they're trying to throw everything away, and they've texted 20 times because they're trying to get rid of it. So I'm just gonna say no. I don't want anything.
Yeah. This is now the Space Monkey and Croncy.
Apologize. This whole time they were messaging me, so a little distracted, but family first.
But yeah,
sorry,
we appreciate the insight, Space Monkey. Like it's important to know that like.
That you were able to do that.
This is sort of where I'm like, yeah, you were able to have a really good experience.
Yeah.
And that goes to show that like the content was good. For a lot of people, the implementation has been bad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, true. But it's like what are you focusing on, what type of player you are, and what you expect from patches like this. It's always the case. I mean, if you have a very simple game, I think everybody can align between one expectation, but with Star Citizen, like this complex game for everybody, like the TechLink guys said, this is the matrix of gaming. There wants to be everything in it, so difficult expectation. And for me, one last point, the tier system or the item recovery system is for me a good sign to reduce the tedium. Because without it, I mean, imagine I mean, when you zoom back to the contested zones, you get killed. Oh my god, I have to go to the kiosk again and equip all the items and da 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 da, and it's freaking me out. And now it's just like, okay, maybe just put some ammo back in, and oftentimes I just like head into the ASOP terminal and grab the ship and just go again, and it feels pretty good because it's a reduce of tedium and increase of playability for me at least.
That's good. Are there any negatives for it, or are we just going to ignore those?
I mean, it comes back to what kind of expectation and what kind of player you are. If you want to loot and want to get the stuff from the players, yeah, it can be a negative. But even Voidy, who is a loot goblin, as far as I understood it, said it has some positive grapes because
of course it does.
He finds his ray gun ammo more. And I forgot one last thing. Now, in the past, they developed all the toys for the sandbox, and now those toys tend to get getting more purposeful, because when you do Hearthstone now, you can use the bombers because you can bomb all the people on the ground that are protecting the cave with like ray guns that shoot you down when you land, which happened to me a lot. Fuck you. And and there's the use for that. Or even you just take out the bomb out of the ship and throw it into the cave and let it explode inside, which happened 2 times to me, which is really cool. And I hope we see more of that in the future. Just
yeah. I really look forward to killing the guy that I did today that had a Nursa inside of his ship, and then literally hear him respawn inside of the ship, and then I have to run because it's just go. What do I do? Do I go in the ship and get banned by constantly camping his thing? Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, listen, there's good and bad, and we've talked about that plenty of times. If people keep coming in with only talking about what's good and not talking about the entire breadth of the situation, then CIG will continue to do things that don't make the game better. They will do things that make you feel good and be happy in short bursts, but you will never have a really, really good game like they promised that they were going to focus on, because they didn't have a publisher and blah, 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 blah. Right?
Yeah,
so
I mean,
just be careful with how you guys are communicating this stuff. I don't just talk about the bad stuff. I had the exact same conversations that you just had. The tedium, the being able to use my cool armor that I like and always have that armor is awesome. But there are lots of problems with this stuff, and we cannot ignore it.
The way that I see, like I have been liking it as well, because I can get back into action a lot quicker, right? But the way that I see it is that I kind of like it for the current game in the same way that I like backspacing in the current game. I don't want it to be there in the future.
No, it shouldn't be.
But
like
it is
this.
a necessity right now.
Yeah.
To be able to do that stuff.
I just don't want the conversations that we're having right now to be exclusively, I'm loving it, right? And then they go, oh, they're loving it. Let's keep it. And it's like, no, like the whole point is this is temporary, you know, like that's where I'm at about this. There's so many problems with this. And
I mean, if they take bad approaches, I think I will also come back and criticize that. But for now, it feels pretty good, and it feels pretty good to say something good about the game. Not
of
just
course,
like in the past.
Of course. Yep. But I think around that specific thing, because it is so, it touches everything, it is really important to talk about it in the entirety of it. And that I think is very important with that conversation. And that's it.
If you bring up the caveat every time, it makes sure it's not forgotten, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's why I'm calling you, because you bring up the caveats pretty nicely.
Yeah. You say the positive, and then I'll remind you of all the frustration. Like it literally just happened to me 10 minutes ago. And I was like, oh, that was so frustrating, because like guy lands, he was like, I'm in FPS, he's in a ship. Like the advantage is so far in his favor, and then he gets an additional one after me killing him. Like all the ammo he has in his back, all he has to do is either, look down in a ship. Like it is a 0-win situation for me, but I already won. But I'm still losing. It's a very frustrating experience in times. My experiences are the edge cases, though. Your experience that you're mentioning is overwhelmingly positive for that literally makes things better for everyone, right?
Yeah.
So I do recognize
the
that.
edge cases.
Yeah, but don't forget the edge cases, because the edge cases are what's going to be what prevents you from playing the game long term, I think.
Yeah.
So
And maybe the indicator of backspacing is a good measuring point for the future.
Very
less backspacing is maybe a good sign that the game has gotten better.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Correct, yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
Guys.
We've been on for about 13 minutes, so
Oh my God,
we'll leave
so
it
long
there,
again.
Space Monkey.
Yes.
But we
sure.
we appreciate the call in and
The shortest
and
Space
your
Monkey call.
See you
insight.
next time. Come on, no, that's not true. You forced me to 5 minutes in the past.
One time, yeah. All right, Space, be good,
All
man.
right, guys.
Yeah.
Bye
Cheers.
now. All right. I can't avoid the tier 0 conversations, but I will not let them be only positive. I just won't let it happen.
Yeah. And I think
For a
it's
good reason. Like, it's healthy, I think, to be that way. I hope.
Yeah.
But yeah,
for sure. And I think talking about tier 0 is relevant to today's topic in
absolutely.
some respect.
Absolutely, because that could be the reason that people are playing more. It legitimately could be, right? Like, I hope people are seeing the duality of me on this stuff, because they never do when I read the comments, but it is what it is. All right. ChipSkylark is next. Welcome. Can you hear us, Chip?
ChipSkylark of
Hey,
Fairly
boys.
Odd Parents fame.
That's right. First time, long time.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So my topic today, kind of like what Mike said. So I have like this little duality of good and bad when it comes to a line of mine, and I just kind of want to talk about a line of mine. The first like week and a half in a line of mine were some of the most fun I've ever had in the game.
Same.
Then they made a change, and it was now the last week has been some of the most frustrating times in the game that I've ever had.
What changed?
So,
Yep.
well, hold on. So I will get there, but
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
first, I have the Wakelo armor, and I have around 400 carat iron. Looking for 200 more, and then I'll probably be done with the line of mine.
Okay.
But so I do have some experience in there, but so I think the big change is them fixing the holes always being open. Why is that a problem? Is because they didn't fix the way to open the hole. So now it's like I have to spend like 2 hours server hopping, and there's one hole open in like 10 servers, and you're fighting the whole server. You can't mine. There's a 30-person org on the ground. Then when you finally get on the ground, I go assault the hole. I fall through the map. Before I get to the hole, I have to relog, but every time I like hold backspace or relog or something, I don't spawn in my spawn point. I spawn in Orison. It takes me 20 minutes to then go back to Daymar to go do the whole process over, just to die to like another 30-person org, and it's a pain. It's a pain, and it just hasn't been fun. But the first 2 weeks were a blast. We spent like 9 hours holding the hole against like multiple orgs. We had 2-3 guys in the hole mining. We had like a guy in a Polaris. We had a whole like outside ground team. It was like actual combined arms for the first time that I've been waiting for like 5 years.
Theaters of War, let's go.
Exactly.
You played Theaters of War.
Yes, years ago. And it was like tons of fun. And then they did the change where they just closed the holes, but didn't fit. It's so typical CIG. They fixed the bug that made it fun, but didn't fix the bug to then go make it fun. And
Yeah.
I just don't understand. Like,
But they're
I don't
exploiting.
understand their mental process.
You're an exploiter.
Yeah, whatever, dude. Like, if it doesn't work, it's not an exploit. That's my thing, right? If the event doesn't work, it's not an exploit, and I don't really care. I don't. Like, those like on your comments on your video about showing off the Polaris, I was like, you guys are so lost.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
There were no exploits. The cave thing just didn't close. You still have to hold it. What is that an exploit?
Yeah. I still had to fight the hole for 9 hours, like with a whole org, like communication, combined arms. Like, okay, the Polaris has to go rearm. We're by ourselves. We're vulnerable. Anyone smart enough that's scouting, if you have a scout on the ground, to go over there and get us while we're in the hole with the Polaris gone. Like, it's just simple stuff that it. But
Also,
that's fun. And then CIG ruined it.
1,200 Quantanium and dealing with that freight elevator and you're calling me an ex, like, just don't
I know.
don't talk to me.
I know. Well, the other
pain
thing
that I
that pisses
went
me
through.
off. The other thing that pissed me off is I'm okay with the Wakalo armor all not spawning at one of his emporiums. But there was no indication to me that the helmet spawns at one place, the chest spawns at the other place, arms and legs spawn at this place.
No, dude, you're
And so
dice
I
rolling. It's
wasted-
literally gambling.
Yeah. And there was
Yeah.
no in-game like communication whatsoever
Yeah.
that I had to go to different emporiums to go get certain armor pieces. So I wasted hours of mining to just get 4 sets of arms and legs. So then I had to go back in the mines for another 10 hours, go fight my way through just to go, just to see one post on Reddit. I actually found it on Reddit that someone completed it. They're like, yeah, the helmet spawns here, the chest. You're telling me that's fine if that's the mechanic, but there's no like hints or anything, and I just wasted tons of hours. That part pissed me off.
Yep.
That's
The
fair,
same thing
yeah.
happened to us. Like it was like 3 a.m. my time, and it was an American guy that was focusing on the armor, and he's like, "All right, I got enough for 5 rolls." And like he was like, "All right, I'm excited." Like we were getting the horns, he was getting the Karenite, whatever. And then maybe about 10 minutes later, like he hadn't said anything for a while, and then he just logged off.
Yeah.
Which was very unlike him. And we were like, "Oh, he didn't get the
That was
helmet."
my feeling.
We had all of them but
Yeah.
the helmet. So then all the extras he traded for one person's helmet, basically.
Yeah.
Is how we did
I mean,
it.
that's kind of... Sorry, Croncy, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna let you continue your thought, but I was just because I was gonna say, like you mentioned, so one big thing about Alano Mine is that the mission devs have like in the last few months have been essentially working through what do like end game content things look like, what do big org things look like, and so on. Right? They started the contested zones, and we got a feel of like what maybe like a 4 to 5 person sort of group activity looked like. We got to experience Supply or Die that had like multiple different locations, but still required a lot of time, multiple people. And then they start bringing in this mission, which is like, all right, hey, this is what we think a big org like mission would look like, right? They had no idea whether it was going to be fun at all, I imagine, in general. And then you just mentioned, you had this like the mining hole was open, which just feels like a weird sentence to say. The hole was open, and you guys were just having an absolute blast, and you're smashing it, and you were still involved in like big org v org, like multi-role gameplay and stuff. What I'm really hoping CIG take away, one of the things that they take away from introducing this event is that like here is this like cool little nugget of like fun stuff that happened due to a bug. Hey, replicate that. That's what original Jumptown was, right? Like original Jumptown was a bug. They tried to replicate it.
It was on all
not
the
necessarily
time.
successfully, but like it was a thing that they took from that they could learn from. So that's all I want to mention. I hope that they learn from that.
100%, because I'm an FPS guy at heart. FPS PvP, love the contested zones when they work. I haven't gone this patch where they changed the fuse changes where you can take it out of your backpack, but every time I tried to do it solo, I always had to, even when I was in a group, I've always had to have someone else put the fuse in, or I had to tractor beam it in. But if you're doing contested zone solo, you can't tractor beam it in. You just get shot behind, like in the back. So like that was a pain in the butt. But anyway, back to my original point of, I think this another like benefit that like piggyback off your point is I'm an FPS guy. I have a guy in my group, Faithful. Shout out to Faithful. Best Polaris pilot, in my opinion, in the verse. And that's all he does. That's his thing, right? My thing is FPS. And we can combine together our skills together to hold the hole for a long time, right? And that is something that is like very... Because where else in the game where you can do that? You have 2 different skill sets, completely different. I suck at ship combat. Awful. And I actually hate ship combat with the current meta, the stealth meta and everything. It's like...
It's going away, don't worry. It's going away.
Oh my god, dude.
I should have checked that in Evo, actually. If the cooler changes are in. Maybe the cooler changes are in Evo. We should check that. Because
it's just not fun.
If they're in, the stealth meta kind of dies. So that'll be good.
Yeah. But which brings me to another point is this event also opened my eyes to other gameplay loops, right? I would have never done ship combat, like outside of like merc missions and bounty hunting. Like PvP, I would never done it. and now I'm opening up my eyes to like this world. I never mined once. I've only done combat in Star Citizen. I go down there with a Geo and I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of fun. Like, let me try to mine.
Yep.
Now I got
Dude,
a
it
rock
was
and I'm
so
mining.
funny. The Shadow Moses people having to mine, and I'd pop in Discord while they're trying to figure it out, talking to each other, and I was just dying laughing. It was one of the funniest things.
So if you increase your laser power,
it was
Listen,
so funny.
I had to ask a couple of my org mates. I'm like, dude, how do I narrow the radar on your ship to ship mine? Like, it was literally that's literally me. I'm literally him. Where I couldn't do, and I had no idea what was going on. I was blowing up rocks in the beginning, no idea. But the other problem, right? Back to here's the good, but the bad. I go start ground mining. Why isn't this? Why can't I scan this rock? Why is my laser just going through this rock? I don't. Okay, let me server hop. I'm playing server hop simulator in 4.1.
That was in the PTU like a lot of the time too, and it was reported. But again, it was just we don't have time to get to it because other things are more important. And it was like, dude, like you added new minables to this patch. Like, how is that not an important one?
I'm starting to lose a little hope a little bit with the whole, and this is completely off topic, but I'm starting to lose hope a little bit with their push towards playability in quotation marks at this point, where I've always been like a CIG apologist. Like, okay, you're building a game, I get it. Star engine, and to be honest, server meshing at whole, I don't think people really understand, like our community really understands how big server meshing is, like outside of Star Citizen. Like, that's a big tech thing. That's like a world's first kind of thing, right? I know ESO has it in some other games, but at this scale. But when is it going to be playable? Right? Like, there's bugs in the game that I've seen for like still like 2-3 years. Like, what are they going to fix it? Like, I can't even regen at the place that I regen. People are spawning in medevacs. That's nice. I just spawn at Orson no matter where I put my thing. Like,
yeah, I assumed the guy that I killed too like respawned at Orson because I didn't hear the bed for like 30 seconds. And I was like, oh, he has a like a container in his ship, and I went to go loot it, and I hear the medical bed going down, and I'm like, oh, come on.
yeah, like time to get guns up, get back to it.
Yeah,
but yeah, and in conclusion, just last point, just my 2 cents on tier 0, just because Space Monkey brought it up. Personally, I think it does a lot more. Like, I totally agree with Croncy's point. Awesome for where it is right now, and as an FPS player, like a PvP SPS player, my counterpoint is like to people who say, "Well, I can't loot." What were you looting anyway? Like the same Morozov set in contested zones 15 times over that you can just buy. I have like 10 at every contested zone. I had 10 sets of that same Morozov set. So, like, what are you really losing out on?
For fuck's sake, I don't know how many times I have to say it. We're looting the gun off the body so they can't kill you again with the same weapons. We've said it a million times, and and these changes aren't in the .1 either. Like, just drop the guns, and nobody will complain. Literally, no one will complain. I don't know how many more times I could say it. Drop the guns.
I actually agree with
Drop the ammo.
Also, in your specific example as well, Chip, like, contested zones introduced the tweaker and the what's the other one? The components, right? The busted components. Yep. That's what I wanted, right? If I was like, I know if I kill a player, they've probably got one of those components, and I need that because it shoot good.
Yeah.
And that was the difference, right?
Yeah, I've been looking for a railgun all day. I killed a guy with a railgun. I couldn't take it. Yeah. Right. Like
now that I'm not losing it. Like, like I don't feel as incentivized to loot, obviously, but like it was cool to be like, oh damn, I lost my one last contested zone, but this guy has one this contested zone. It's like mini goals as you're going through these.
And I'm not saying like we need to lose everything. Like, keep your armor, man. If you want to look cool, who cares? Like, everyone just wears heavy armor anyway, mostly. Like, it just doesn't matter. They all have the same stats.
Another thing.
The gun's totally different. The gun's totally different. And that's the, like, I'm willing to make a concession for your armor. People need to be willing to make a concession so PvP is not horrible. Like, it is not good because of that. It has gotten significantly worse because of that. But the community is like on this PvP hate train constantly, and it's probably because most of the events have PvP at them, and CIG, the people get mad at CIG for that. So there's this like massive hate train against people who participate in PvP. But in reality, like, everybody has to live together in these situations. So you have to have what you're happy about, but you have to also make the concession for people that are happy about those things. You need to be able to disarm people. That's crazy. Like, it's just crazy that you can't. Again, this guy
honestly, that's a good point I didn't think about.
And can point his gun right down at me while I'm looting his container after I just killed him. He's literally a zombie, but like magically has everything that's sitting in the body right next to me that I'm looting. Like, what? That's crazy. It makes no sense.
Yeah, that's a good point. I honestly, I didn't even think about the gun point, and that would kind of stop zerging. So like that, you know, I think that's a little bit overused, but totally get it. And I think another reason why people hate FPS PvP so much is I think there's a giant skill disparity in Star Citizen from what I've seen. Like, I've played competitive shooters kind of my whole life, like Kappa and Tarkov, but I'm just like a little bit like, I would say above average. Like, I'm diamond in most competitive games that have ranked, right? I'm not anything special, but I'm above average. And I win like 95% of my fights. I shouldn't be doing that, like, based on like normal populations of other games. You know what I mean? So I think, I think like people are losing a lot of gunfights, and I just think there's a big skill disparity there, which also explains that. But if you bring that kind of population that's not good at FPS and give them like, I don't know, like the ArcCorp sewers, for example, the PvE stuff, like that mini raid or whatever you want to call it, send them there, and then they won't complain about PvP anymore, right? They just given us PvP stuff.
That's why I'm blaming CIG for this, because I think it's like there's too much, and there hasn't been anything that is just strictly like chill, no PvP. Like, that has been the problem this whole time, is there's been always the opportunity for PvP, and there just has to be a place where people could just chill, and they've never done that. And it's time. It's time, man.
You know what it was? It was like, at least in recent memory, the only thing that's come close was specifically Supply or Die buying up Magnus and delivering to, what is it, Pirate?
But people were getting pirated.
Obviously, yeah. Well, they were getting pirated, but most people, that was a terrible experience for so many reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. There hasn't been like a good reason. But yeah, we've definitely gone over time.
Yeah, sorry about that.
We'll leave you there, Chip. We appreciate the call in. It was good. And we appreciate you taking a lot of mine. And
I think every call has gone over time.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. do you? Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm glad that we did a show like this, because we were like, what are we going to talk about? And then it was like, if I phrase it this way, I think we'll have a lot more callers, and not as many callers, but they definitely had a lot to say. Do we want to get to MrAston and then call it there? Sound good?
I think that's a good strat. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, we'll go for our final caller, MrAston. I see you, Agent Kozak, but we won't get you today. Welcome. Let me get Chip off the screen there.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes, sure I'm gonna turn you up a little bit. Don't.
Okay.
I mean, maybe get closer to your mic. That might be a good thing. But outside of that, you sound great.
How's this sound?
Good. Thank you.
Good. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
So to start off on topic, as far as the question goes, I don't think the patches will ever be enough. For a lot of different reasons, but primarily because we get these sort of bite-sized chunks and increases of like content in the game,
sure,
and feelings of progression and things like that, when there's really no sort of like in game for anything. There's
are you trying to say like you get through it too quickly, and then it's kind of like
it's either you get to it too quickly, or the end result is just not worthwhile as much. Like building up to the Polaris is a nice reward, but it's still not.
Only one guy gets
like,
it.
Yeah. like it's still not the game that we all want it to be at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's not this you don't get this feeling of like having this whole industry driven organization or org where you can have these people doing salvage and doing crafting and mining and combining all of these different facets into one thing. So in that aspect, and that's not to say I'm constantly judging on where Star Citizen is today versus where they constantly say they want to go or what things to be. But from my perspective, I just think it's always never enough in each patch. As far as my experience in 4.0 has gone so far, I did the first like 48 hours after 4.0 launch were some of the best time I've spent in Star Citizen since I started the game.
Nice.
And then and that's just because like the servers ran really smooth, the server FPS was really nice, which made you realize that the NPCs that you fight are actually really good. Just they've been throttled by the servers the whole time.
I always feel like NPCs have been like tuned for a really bad server experience. And then so the second that the server started working in that capacity, it was like, holy crap, I'm getting shot from every which way and they're ambushing me and everything.
They're like weirdly inconsistent right now, but like nowhere near what we were used to having in the past. But they're like sometimes they just kind of stand there, and then other times they're just like really cracked. But it used to be like all the time they just stand there, and it was like super rare where they just woke up and they killed you in the past. But yeah. Still
now
sort of
it only
having those
seems-
issues.
Yeah. Now it only seems like the problem is their delay in noticing you.
Yes.
And
Once they
sometimes that
notice you,
can-
they're locked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that was great. And then like my FPS and just everything else, the performance of the game was great. And then like the next week after 4.0, I was sort of trapped in a station because the elevators to the hangars wasn't working, and even if I got to the hangar doors wouldn't open. So I was just sort of trapped for like multiple days because I just like I got on and like I know there was ways around this problem, but I just like I don't feel like doing this.
And this was you said this was in the 4.0 patches, right?
Yeah, this is like the first week of the 4.0 patch.
Yeah, and they've obviously fixed a lot of that stuff. So like
they have fixed a lot of that.
Yeah, that's what we said at the beginning. It's like they did just like we have been getting fixes. Like we're not saying we're not, right?
Yeah, and these bug fixes that they're coming out with are nice. And the hotfix branch, while it's annoying to deal with and having to like change your folder names and all that, it is kind of nice to have like these sort of day one hot fixes that you can jump onto.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
If they work.
I do wish they would sometimes stop deploying them during maintenance times that it screw me over, but
yeah,
I'd rather them have them at all in general other than that. So
anything else?
Yeah, so like it sounds like at least to the question of the day that you're sort of like half. Is that like you're sort of like yeah, they're not doing enough, but they like are doing okay type thing, or like where are we at?
I think that it seems like they're doing a lot better when it comes to bug fixes than they have in previous years. So I'm cautiously optimistic that they're going to keep doing that. That being said, there are still things that are broken that have been broken for a long time.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. But as far as is it enough, in the general sense, I feel like it'll never really be enough. So I can't really answer the question one way or the other.
Okay.
As far as like when it comes to the 4.0 and 4.1 patches. What I will say is I was very I played the Daymar rally this year, and I played it on the 4.0 preview, which I wasn't expecting, and I expected that to be a much worse experience because I wasn't sure how the actual servers were going to handle that. But it actually went a lot better than it did last year.
Last year.
Yeah.
Everything broke last year.
Yeah.
If you're doing better than last year, you're not.
No.
It's
not
that's
that
the
big of an
lowest
achievement,
bar.
is what
Yeah,
it feels like.
it's the lowest bar possible. So
Yeah, that's a fair point. As far as the tier 0 stuff, I had a flashback to feel like I was playing on 3.9 again. But when we had the player loadout manager and the Moby class.
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, pre-inventory, you have everything on you at all times.
Yeah. But other than that, I haven't really liked the tier 0 stuff. It's nice that I've just been able to wear one armor the whole time, but at the same time I got used to that gameplay style. And especially when it comes to setting my spawn somewhere, which doesn't seem to work at all for me. It doesn't matter if I do a Pisces rescue, a medevac, or if I set it at Seraphim or Grim Hex or whatever, I'm always going to spawn at Orison. Or I just spawn at the last station that I was at.
Yeah.
So,
and we've gone through a week of hotfixes, and that has not been fixed yet. The mining has not been fixed yet. It's been pretty frustrating, to say the least, I'd say.
Yeah. I like the bug fixes, the bug fix approach that they've gone with so far, but they have a lot further to go.
A lot more to go, and if they don't start doing more quickly, it'll be February next year before what we currently have is fixed, and then they have to start bringing in new, so they kind of got to get on it.
All the new content that's come out is like also busted.
Right? Yeah. What happens when base building comes up? They're gonna have to get on it. So
yeah, they got to get on it.
But all right, MrAston, we're kind of coming up to the end of the show. I just took a peek at the time, and we're hitting that 2-hour mark. So I think this will be the place where we'll let you go, and we'll kind of wrap the show up. But we really appreciate you calling, and
thanks so much.
Yeah, I get what you mean by like you can't go one way or other, and the patches are like doesn't. I don't know.
I'll maybe finish it with just one sentence because it came up earlier.
Yeah.
Are you playing more now than this time last year?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Ooh,
very quickly, one sentence if you
yes.
can.
Yeah, I am playing more, but that's due to other factors, I would think.
Sure.
I think I have more people that play the game now. So
perfect. Yeah.
Fair enough.
And hey, I'll let you go, MrAston. I'll comment on that as we let you go. But thank you so much.
Yeah.
And
cheers, mate. Thank you.
I think personally that is a representation of the game being better when still like that is a good thing about a game. If it's more enjoyable when you're playing with friends, that is a quality of a decent video game too. It doesn't mean like obviously Star Citizen has its problems, right? But it doesn't mean that the game is bad because it's better with friends, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
yep.
Yeah. But all right. That kind of wraps us up for this week, and I look forward to hopefully getting a PTU and getting out of Evo as quickly as possible and being able to show these kind of things and hopefully dive a little bit more into did they put that cooler change in. That's going to be a big difference to everything flight. All of the components that you actually use could potentially mean that you're using competition stuff more, military stuff more, all sorts of things. It won't just be stealth meta as much anymore. And then it should change the landscape of PvP a little bit more and things like that. I would love to see, I don't know, like Firebird meta die a little bit because it's kind of ridiculous and stuff like that. So we'll see. I'm curious what happens.
I want to see new players play the new missions. I want to see if it actually does impact new players learning how to do combat.
Exactly.
We're obviously extremely biased. We've been playing for a really long time. I definitely still don't know how to fly combat, but that's not the point. I want to see new players experience it. So.
Yeah, you know what you're supposed to do. It's just actually doing it. It's a little more difficult. Yeah,
It's
for sure.
hard.
For sure. But with that, as always, if you guys are watching on Twitch, make sure you hit the follow button since we're sharing chat. I think that should be incredibly easy now, which is why we're doing that, which is really cool. Also, give us some feedback on how that's going, if it's working for you guys or not. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, consider subscribing, and yeah, go above and beyond. You can become a member and all those kind of things as well if you're enjoying the show. And that's where we'll leave you this week. So with that said, don't forget
To answer the call.
It'll never get old how cringe that is.
The more cursed I say it every week, the worse it gets.
Yep.